Hi folks, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. The fly you see in the vise I'm calling the nearly fly. It nearly won me the KitKat Cup, but not quite. So without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise is a Hanak H230 barbless hook. This one's at size 12. It's on a medium wire and finished in black nickel. The thread I'm going to be using today is from Simplify. It's at 6/0. As you can see, it's the black nano silk. As always, a little touch of super glue before we begin. Just stops body rotation on the fly. So we'll just spread the super glue with our thread, come in just behind the eye and get a bed of kind silk laid down. So yeah, the nearly fly. So what happened, I don't know if you've watched the Menteith video yet, but the KitKat Cup was drawn at 1-1, and we were going into the last leg at the Lake of Menteith, and I got this fly working a treat. I mean, all my fish came to it. Jock was really struggling that day, and I did get a few fish up on him, and I said, look, you're welcome to have a couple of these flies. The next thing we're going to do is add a tail to this fly, and I'm using just a little bit of black marabou. I'm going to come in, take away this thicker end of the waist, and then I'll bring my thread up to about 3/4 of the way up the shank, catch it in, and I want to try and keep that tail on top of the shank of the hook. I'm just coming round with a couple of turns underneath, just stops tail fouling, although saying that, I'm going to come in and really shorten this up. Don't want to have a big long tail really. In fact, that's still a little bit longer than I would have liked, but there we go. So for the rib of the fly, I'm using some hot green wire. It's at 0.2mm. It's quite important, the width, because I do want that to have a little hint of colour. There's hardly any bling to this fly at all, just this little hint in the rib that it is green. So I've caught the rib in the entire length of the body, and I brought the thread to the base of the fly. Next thing then is I'm going to catch in a couple of strands of black peacock herring in at the base. Just get that together so I catch the bulk of it in, and then I'm going to bring it to the front of the hook, get several wraps just in at the front, and then I can grab the peacock herring. This peacock herring I'm using is really old and it is quite delicate, so I'm going to use the rotary function on the vise just to bring this up, try and avoid the hook points if I can. Then I'll bring the peacock herring all the way up to the front of the fly, and I've obviously put a few too many wraps in. Usually I can get the thread to come and meet the peacock herring, but not on this occasion. And then I'll catch that in the couple of turns in front. Make sure you've got that herring, keep tension on your thread, and you can pull the whole thing away. Next then we're going to bring our rib over. As I said, with a 0.2mm you can still see a little bit of that colour coming through, and you can imagine when the fly's wet you've got that peacock herring kind of cloaking it, and as you're moving the fly you're getting that little flash of green, which can be a bit of an enticement to the trout to come and join in. So as I was saying, things were going really well at the lake for me for a while. I was ahead at lunch, and I did offer Jock the fly before lunch, but he kind of said, oh, I've got wee black boobies, it's fine, I'll just use the ones I've got confidence in. And but after lunch, and I hammered out a quick few fish, he succumbed and took a couple off me. I wished I hadn't given them. No, that's a lie. I don't mind at all. getting beat by jock kettles in a boat at the Lake of Menteith by one fish is nothing to be ashamed of. So I've taken some more marabou. Again, I'm going to come up and take the bulk of that rubbish away here. Damp down the end and catch that in. So I'm going to spin my thread to get it nice and thin, and then make sure you clamp that marabou wing in. You don't want the marabou wing coming undone once you've attached your booby eyes. So I'm going to use the back tail as my guide to take in the wing, and then I'll damp the whole thing down just to keep it out of the way. The next stage then, if you've watched my videos in the past, you'll know I use these little TicTocs, and if you're unsure how I form these, then what I'll do is I'll stick a little link up in the corner there to show you how I get to this stage. So once I have trapped my thread in the centre, and I'm using the little pinhole, you'll see if you look at the other video, you'll see there's a little hole in the tube where I put my thread, and then wind it up onto the fly. It's reluctant to come, but it's got there in the end. Bit manhandled, but we're there. And then I'm going to come over in a figure of 8 motion. I know my fingers are in the way, but I'm just coming in a figure of 8 motion round the fly. And what I'm aiming for is to try and get the two booby eyes very similar sizes. And the reason for that is if you have them and they're not the same size, what happens when you're retrieving them is the fly turns into a little bit of a spinner, which can cause havoc with your leader. But if you get the eyes on the fly nice and even, it does tend to, it doesn't alleviate it, but it does make it a lot less than it would be. And to finish the fly off, I'm simply going to come in and get plenty of super glue in between the eyes. That'll sink down onto the silk, and then just below I'm going to add a bit more super glue, and I like to get it right in about that thread. And once that's dry, you've got a fly that's going to last you several fish. I hope you enjoy that. It was a fly I'd been playing about with for a little while. I've never done a tutorial on it because it's fairly boring to look at. It's certainly not a fly for catching anglers, but it does catch a lot of trout, as I'm sure Jock will testify to. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.